Honorable participants of the conference, let me present the results of our research. Quantitative characteristics of lexical-semantic groups representing weather in weather news stories based on British online press, conducted by Nataliya Bondarchuk, Lviv Polytechnic National University, and Ivan Bekhta, Franko National University of Lviv. The development of present-day technology, in particular software programs, has substantially transformed the survey of not only technical sciences but also humanities. A large amount of data can now be accessed easily in electronic archives. In addition, modern textual research requires incorporation of both linguistic and natural language processing techniques. Furthermore, traditional model of computer-assisted text analysis should be complemented with methods from different disciplinary fields. In order to account for the interdisciplinary approach that incorporates linguistic and computer-assisted techniques, the survey uncovers the basic constituents of lexical-semantic groups and their relationships in the texts of weather news stories in two quality, The Times, The Guardian, and two mass, The Sun, The Daily Mail newspapers, 2014-2017. According to Alan Bell, journalists do not write articles, but stories. A considerable boost of communication technologies has provided instant access to news across the world. Traditional newspaper genres have been supplemented with new ones, which either coexisted or replaced them. A recent investigation on newspaper genres, Hadia Yates, Orlikovsky, Ronecker, has examined the process of genre hybridization that occurs when new generic forms are created, innovated, or developed to achieve novel communicative goals within the framework of socially accepted generic boundaries. Thus, a weather news story is one of the genres, the emergence of which is rather conditioned than spontaneous. The aim of the article is twofold: to establish basic constituents of lexical semantic groups and their quantitative characteristics in the text of weather news stories, and the second one, to investigate the relations of lexical semantic groups which compose lexical structures of the text in British online press. The selection of material for the survey was the corpus of British electronic newspaper texts 2014-2017 of the ingoing genre weather news story. The electronic newspapers that served as a source of material for linguistic research are the four most popular British newspapers: Quality, The Times, The Guardian, and Mass, The Sun, The Daily Mail. The overall search resulted in the compilation of the research corpus of contextual representations of 2,800 lexical structures of weather news stories from 5,760 pages. The study of the text is organized by computer sampling of electronic versions of British newspapers by using keyword searches in the online archival sources of these newspapers. The proposal that the lexicon has a field structure has shown up in many disciplines and has the longest history and widest acknowledgement. Lexical semantic classification of words is primarily associated with the words of Humboldt, Trier, Portig, and Weisgerber. It was later developed by Lyons, Lehrer, Kitai, and Grundy, who considered the common elements of meaning shared by the constituents of word groups as the basic criterion for their grouping. In spite of more concentrated linguistic attention paid to lexical structure of language, the relative disregard of the lexical structure of the text stands in need of thorough research. In this respect, lexical structure should be considered as semantic network of relations of lexical constituents on the surface level of the text. Thus, lexical structure is the structure of lexical units, their groupings and relations among them that contribute to the continuity of lexical meaning in the text. Classically, lexical semantic groups include words of one part of speech connected by a common semantic component, categorical lexical theme, integral themes which identify it, common compatibility, as well as uniformity in the development of ambiguity. The use of componential analysis in our study allowed for identification of semantic relations by separating the smallest indivisible unit of meaning theme. This type of analysis carried out with the help of lexicographic and lexical semantic analysis, which allows combining lexical units into lexical semantic groups or subgroups. Quantitative analysis is used at all levels of the survey just to determine the quantitative parameters of lexical-semantic groups, as well as to clarify and establish trends in the use of lexical units. Quantitative analysis was carried out with the use of computer program TROPS v8.4. In the course of the research, lexical semantic groups of nouns, 7 groups, adjectives, 3 groups, verbs, 4 groups, and adverbs, 3 groups, have been singled out. The analysis has shown that there is a variation regarding the quantitative composition of lexical semantic groups. It has been observed that such variation appears to be related to the type of newspapers. As a whole, quality and mass newspapers have identical lexicosemantic groups. However, there are some differences in the quantity and functioning of the constituents. The dominant lexicosemantic groups in mass newspapers are emotional state, weather description, and weather evaluation, which testifies to the more emotional and subjective nature of weather news stories in mass newspapers. In contrast, lexicosemantic groups of time, meteorology, and location are dominant in quality newspapers, indicated more informative, factual, and concise mode on news presentation. The data also show that adjectives of negative semantics prevail over the adjectives of positive semantics, or in the corpus of the study text. This is explained by the functional and informative features of weather news stories. These are usually the news about abnormal weather events or weather catastrophes leading to the destruction of material environment, mutilation, and death of people. This investigation is preliminary in the sense that the relations of the lexical constituents that are the surface on the text have been analyzed. It indicates the need for further study of relations among lexical groups and intra-sentence relations within a specified text. Hence, the results of the study might contribute to the quantitative analysis of other text corpora, as well as the integration of natural language processing applications into the research of lexical semantic relations in texts of other genres and of various functional styles of the language. An obvious area for further research is the study of semantic vocabulary and associative relations of lexical units representing weather in texts of weather news stories by applying the methods of content analysis and associative tests. Of special research interest might be lexical relations of weather vocabulary in terms of syntagmatic and paradigmatic structures of lexical units. In the case, statistical and distributional analysis supported with appropriate computational techniques may be of great use. To further enhance the results of the scrutiny, local newspapers from different regions can be chosen as a material for the research. Thank you for the attention.